Chapter 11. This class has been the most disappointing at control of dark energy in the history of the college, says Thurley in a baby blue cardigan. She has kept your class behind after the morning inspection. Therefore, she continues, this morning instead of your usual timetable, you will be given a remedial lesson with the headmaster. And myself. You're not a teacher, says a voice from the back. Leo, I am the chaperone, says Thurley. It would be improper to have girls in a swimming lesson with the boys without supervision. Swimming lesson, you say? Of a sort, says Thurley. Now off you trot to get your cozies on. Sir Philip will be waiting. In the autumn the wind rushes from the sea over the flat marshes for miles around with nothing to stop it until it reaches the rise of the school, blowing in papers and seeds and grit. It blows the flotsam from the high tides left in the marshes, the cans and wrappers and mulch left on the mudflats. It blows here, you feel it now as you walk down the path that leads into the marshes. Dizzy has been left behind, and you guide Poppy by the elbow along the path. I can hack into telegram wires, you know, whispered Eloise to her admirers ahead of you. I once found out my brother had a girlfriend. The king, he took away his favourite pony for a week. Oh, a pony, mimics Poppy, and you giggle. Auburn walks at the back, alone, moody, silent. The tidal pool was built where the marsh grasses and the curlews give way to the mud flats on their wide sweep to the shore. Its pitched, angular grey concrete stands alone against the broad horizon. The stains of salt and rust leak through the surface of the concrete in dirty trails. At low tide, a mile of mud, shining with wetness, surrounds the pool. At high tide, only a narrow causeway unites it to the mainland, the sloshing sea enveloping the pool. In storms it becomes inundated. Today the tide is receding, leaving the pool isolated, the only structure in sight against the dome of the sky and its clouded steel light. The smell of the sea salt hits your nose. The openness of the sky makes you dizzy. There, in the tilting light and wide horizon, the cold lines of the parapet wall and changing rooms reflect darkly in the water of the pool, lines whose shapes have become distorted and askew. Birdington is there, standing before the waters, doubled in them, waiting. Thurley sits on one of the benches. You wrap your coat around yourself tighter. You draw closer to Poppy. High above you hear the croak of a gull, and the croak of Birdington begins. There have been irregularities in this group, says the headmaster, and the whole has been degraded. And yet, perhaps with more understanding, the darkness of ignorance will clear. Enlightenment, that is our aim, Birdington says. The student slips off his shoes and dips a toe in the nearby water. Debbie, did I say you could get in? Out, now, says Thurley. A shadow field is like a magnetic field, says Birdington, and shadow energy is formed of waves in a similar manner to electromagnetic waves. It's hard to concentrate on Birdington words. The first thing, it's so clodding cold. The second, Eloise is standing beside you, and you know she'd love to push you in and give you an ice-cold drenching when the teachers aren't looking. Waves follow certain patterns. Chief among them is this one. Reflection, refraction, diffraction. Within water this is most easy to see, he says, taking out his cane. He dips it in the water, and a ripple emerges which bounces off the edge of the pool. Reflection, he says. Birdington shoves his cane deep within the pool. You can see that the position of the cane under the water looks different. It is like it's been cut in two. Refraction, he continues. He bobs the cane down within the channel that leads into the pool. The ripples pass through the small grating, spreading out into curves throughout the whole pool. Diffraction, he says. We all know we're here because of you two, whispers Eloise from behind. You've ruined the whole class. You're pulling us down, all of us, with you. You're not meant to be here. But these are ordinary waves, and I talk today of shadow waves, says Birdington. Refraction can bend away shadow energy. It is what is used in the wards. If there is a rogue shadow wielder, we can remove their powers by this method, externalizing and isolating the darkness within them, and then causing the shadow bond to deform and then fracture. Your shadow powers could be cut off forever? You didn't know that. This is kind of boring, says Poppy. I don't see how this is going to help you control the copycat. I got a plan to steal some, by the way. I just have to... Reflection and diffraction are more dangerous, says Burtington, but fortunately only observed in laboratory conditions. Reflection occurs when human and shadow combine totally, not in the manner of mutual destruction as is usually the case, but a fusion of power. It is quite interesting, says Auburn, rubbing his hands together and blowing on them. It's a bit like science class, I guess. And diffraction, says Burtington. To be an aperture for the shadow waves, a conduit to amplify and spread energy, an absence through which energy can pour. Yet it is difficult to understand all these things without a personal feeling for it, says Burtington, which is why I've brought this. He takes out what looks like a large flask. Inside here are iron filings which have been subjected to a shadow charge. Burtington unscrews it, pouring the contents onto the surface of the rippling water. Dark dots float across the width of the pool. Now, get in. One by one. We need to observe the effect. You should already have your costumes on beneath your clothes, says Thurley. Now, form an orderly queue towards the steps at the shadow end. You awkwardly pull off your coat and school uniform. Poppy beside you does the same, and you pick up one of the hairpins which clatters to the tiled floor. Auburn is hiding somewhere at the back. A few ahead in the line is Eloise. Unabashed, she delicately steps out of her warm white Angora sweater dress, revealing a golden leotard encrusted with sparkling diamond dust. You frown. That certainly isn't standard issue, but all the same, you much prefer your unassuming black one-piece. Shivering with your arms across your chest, you try to hug yourself warm. Your breath swirls out in a cloud from your mouth into the cold air, and the steaming breath is stolen from you by the gusts that blow. You can't believe they're making you do this in November, except you totally can. You hear your teeth chattering in your mouth. The wind snatches at your legs. The sky leers, all around an empty world. You can hear the distant roaring of waves. One by one, the class enters the pool, Burtington watching closely, Thurley making notes in her little beige book. The dots floating on the surface cluster tightly around the students who gradually spread out across the shallow end of the pool, shuffling to try and conserve their heat. When Eloise enters the pool, the iron filings gather in a noticeably thicker ring around her. She grins, yet her shoulders are hunched with the effort defying the cold. Thurley nods approvingly. You hold Poppy's arm and descend the steps together. The water is so cold it feels like burning, a ring of iron that tightens around your legs as you wade deeper. You're so shocked by the chill that at first you don't realize what's happening. But as the waters tighten their teeth around your waist, you look up. The iron filings are moving. They're spiraling inwards, flowing towards you, a dancing pattern which claps thicker and thicker around you. You, says Burtington, pointing at you. This is your mistake. You are trying to interact with the shadow in the manner of reflection. Do not reach for them in that way. What? You say. Can I get out now you've seen what you wanted? Not yet, says Burtington. We must continue. A few more students descend. Then it's Auburn, his body small against the depth of the mottled light of the sky. As he enters, the filings move. With every step he takes, they're pushed further from him. The spiral is disrupted and scattered. When he stands at the centre of the pool, all the city particles have been pushed to the edge and cling there against the tiles. And you, says Burtington, the beak pointing in Auburn's direction, you deflect. You are nothing, and the darkness flees from you. This is the cause of your lack of success. Auburn says nothing, and the last two students enter the pool. Burtington turns, leaving without a word, and Thurley calls you all out of the pool, grabbing your clothes and bags and filing into the changing rooms. The towel is rough, but you dry as rapidly as possible, returning to the world of dryness and relative warmth. As you leave, your curiosity overcomes you, and you take one last look at the pool, walking by the side. The iron filings have spread out once more and float across the water. You peer in to see if they're formed into any glyph you might recognize. But what you do recognize is the voice that has sneaked behind you. Got you, says Eloise, fully dressed, and you feel her firm hands behind you, pushing you into the pool. But you do not get wet. The shadow-infused waters cradle you as you descend, and an air bubble forms around you. Your side bounces on the waters like a trampoline, and you're released back up, the water cascading and splashing around you as you remain dry. A great bank of deathly cold water flips up, hitting Eloise like an icy slap across her whole body. She screams, a high-pitched scream of horror and rage. Her dress clings to her like wet paper. Her hair is plastered to her skull. And the barren mudflats smell a little like triumph.